So welcome back to another episode of Talking Tech. Today I'm joined by Callie Cooper, Director of Women in Tech, and also our very own Karen Simons, who heads up our marketing. Welcome both of you. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me again, guys.
Not at all. Probably the best place to start for those people that weren't on a previous episode with you is maybe a little overview on yourself and what you do and maybe what Women in Tech do as well.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the last podcast was obviously a good couple of years ago now, not long after you guys started your series. So it's lovely to be back. Women in Tech, we are a platform that provides kind of in two halves. We have our side that helps our females in tech, our community, and we hope to build upon that and support them. They support each other, discuss challenges, and then we connect them to employers who really care about their diversity in their tech teams. So yeah, we're a platform that kind of helps the community and also helps employers. A little bit about me. I am a director at Women in Tech, and we started about 2017. So not too far off our 10 years. Every year we've grown, and every year I'm just blown away by how much the industry changes and how many people really, truly care about diversity in their tech team. So it's a great platform for so many reasons.
It's also, I feel like you said, it's a good couple of years since we last had you on. Is there, I mean, I always look at it from the point of view that everyone talks about women in tech and diversity. Do you think companies are just as engaged? Do you think they have it as high up on the priority list as they should?
Yes. I actually think more so now than ever. From when we first started, I think 2017, that people were dipping their toe in more, but now we just see companies, and even companies that are small to medium companies, all the way up to the government departments. It's so important, and I really see it on people's agendas high up there. I know with everything that's gone on with Trump and America, people are probably thinking that's going to shift, but honestly, when I look at some of our partners and with companies like you guys, it makes you see how important it is. We recently, and I know you guys have won an award for this, but we were headline sponsors for the Women in Tech Awards. And I was lucky enough to be a judge, and I was blown away by these entries of all different categories. And when you're there on the night, it makes you realise how much employers and people care about diversity. So I actually think it's probably stronger than it's ever been. And I think we need to keep pushing this forward.
I'm very pleased you brought up we won an award for it as well. Just
yes.
To remind everyone. But one of the things, as you said, is you see so many companies trying to do it.
Yes.
When you see companies, I suppose, doing it well, what are they actually doing differently to everyone else?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, because it's going to look different for everyone, depending on your industry, depending on the size of your company. But I was having a little look at what I think some of our partners are doing amazing. And for example, Nando's, who work with us, they are so clear on their senior leadership team. Like anything they put out to do with their recruitment or their careers, they will actively promote, this is who's in our senior leadership team. And you will see that it's really strong percentage of females. And then like BAE Systems, for example, will actively promote their pay and it's equal pay, and they will publish reports about it. And then also I think the government, the departments that we work with, are really pushing like their diversity across multiple partners, not just us. So I think it's really showcasing to people out there and potential like candidates really what you're actually doing in tech and diversity and within a company and your culture, rather than it just being a tick box.
Yeah.
So I think being transparent is what is going to make such a difference.
And you mentioned briefly government departments. Are you doing much work in that kind of area?
Yes, we are actually. Tonight we are really lucky. We are attending a Labour event for women in technology, and it's a discussion and networking around any policies that the government can hopefully implement to try and help that. It's lovely as well because it's come off the back of the budget, which we can obviously talk about in a second. But yeah, so tonight we're going to go on behalf of Women in Tech. We're going to represent our communities, and we've put some questions out to our community to say, if we get the chance, what would you like us to bring to the table? How can we help support you? Overwhelmingly, the majority have come back and said about people getting back into tech, returnships, investment into that. So we're going to try and bring that forward, and hopefully we can share the insights tomorrow or Wednesday. And if they are planning on bringing out new policies, then we will be the first to shout about it and let everyone know.
And I'm sure if people want to hear more about that, I'm assuming they just follow you, get hold of your LinkedIn, because I imagine it's going to be very interesting.
Yes. Follow us on LinkedIn, and no doubt we'll have some articles coming out about it after the event. But yeah, we will keep everyone updated as well. There's a mixture of people going as well. So I think it's women in tech that are actually going as well. We've got us, we've got some other companies who are in this kind of space as well. So it's going to be a real mixture of things. A couple of MPs. So let's see what they've got to say.
Oh, that's great. So what are some of the biggest trends that you're seeing in recruitment for tech hiring at the moment?
So I think recruitment as a whole at the moment is a little bit it's been a tough year in terms of people have been reluctant to hire, I think, especially waiting on the budget. The budget's come out, probably wasn't, I mean, we were all expecting it probably, but it wasn't as positive as we'd all like. However, I think with tech, it's almost its own category, because there is always a need for tech, and especially with the development of AI, like that is one of the most in-demand industries now for tech hiring. So it is moving. And also the budget did highlight that they're looking at things to financially back a lot of like coding skills, boot camps, that kind of thing. So I think although the market as a whole seems to be harder, I think tech is just going to keep going, and it's going to keep evolving, which is amazing, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's the backbone of most businesses, isn't it? You know, a tech user or a tech provider, it's still, you know, core and essential to everything.
Definitely. And I also think to touch on that, the way that companies are hiring has changed in terms of how they're hiring. We like speaking with our candidates, a lot of them are now seeing AI straight away before they've even spoke to a physical person, which, I mean, from an employer point of view, for quickness and for speed, that's great. But then there's part of me that questions, are you going to lose out on a great candidate because there is no human interception there? So yeah, it's a bit of a grey area for me, I think, AI and hiring.
It's an interesting one, because I think there's so much cost associated with hiring, unfairly so with some of it, that I think that they're trying to kind of cut process, make it more efficient. But I think my worry is exactly what you said, is one for good people in general, that I think people are going to get precluded for the wrong reasons. But more so, I actually think for women in technology, because they already have kind of, my view and my experience is they already don't apply to enough roles if they don't have the majority of skills, let alone if you then suddenly put a AI bot in between asking them questions that they're not going to apply to. I think it's like, it could be a real issue not having that human intervention.
Yeah, exactly as you said, Nick, as well. We know that women percentage-wise compared to men are going to apply for less roles unless they hit 100% of them required skills. Yeah. So they're already on the back foot before they've even started applying for roles. And then you add the AI robot in, or bot, and that percentage is going to go even lower. So I think this is where companies and employers need to step up now. And it's going to take time, it's going to take resource, but otherwise nothing changes, and you're going to lose out on some really good women in tech.
I think also I've had quite a lot of chats with clients recently about AI, and I think it will, at what point, I'm not sure, kind of there'll be a equilibrium of everyone will have AI, everyone will use it. And I actually think the differentiating factor will be the companies that have that human interaction, that FaceTime, and that kind of one-to-one understanding a client and a candidate. And whether it's technology recruitment or whether it's sales or whether it's, you know, anything investment-wise, like I think that human contact's going to be even more important. And I do worry, as I said, that intervention of ruling out people before they've spoken to someone is going to affect the market.
Yeah, I do, especially women in tech. And I think that I've heard of people looking for jobs and they've been rejected within like 10 minutes of applying for a job. And you just know that there's, for whatever reason, there hasn't been anyone look at that other than it's just been run through a system and an algorithm.
Yeah, absolutely.
So aside from sort of AI and those kind of things, what other barriers do you see that are preventing women from entering tech market or from staying in the tech industry?
I would love to say that since we started, these kind of the reasons I'm going to give have moved on. Actually, I think some of the core reasons are still there. We still have a lot of women who will have imposter syndrome, as we said, about them not even applying from the get-go. And sadly, stereotypes still exist within this space. And that's something I think so many of us are trying to break down, you, me, so many companies, but it's still there. So we've still got work on that front. And then I think it's also, as I said, like the leadership and the things that some of these companies are putting out there aren't transparent enough, or they're not open enough, or they're not inspiring enough, or there's not enough role models. These like reasons we were talking about years ago still exist. And I think then also referring to the fact, like, if people have families, childcare logistics now, sometimes work isn't set up for people to be parents anymore. And the cost of living and the cost of raising a child now is so expensive that if companies aren't flexible for whatever reason, or the pay doesn't match what it needs to be to raise a family, it's just putting more and more women off. I don't know if you guys had a chance to read it, but there was a Lovelace report that came out about a month or so ago, and it actually highlighted how many women are looking to step away from tech because of the reasons that I've said, and because of the lack of promotion now is a big thing. So they're seeing other people being promoted, they're being passed up, and they've actually, you know, a lot of women are turning around to say, I'm just going to leave the industry, and that would be such a shame. But it is a really interesting report if anyone does get a chance. And I mean, I'm happy to send it over, but it gives you an insight onto kind of the female thinking in tech. And off the back of it, next year, we're going to basically do a white paper on our candidates as well to see if that's still the same sort of trend or things are changing. But we've done, as an industry, we've done amazing work, but I still think we've got a lot to do to stop these barriers breaking back down again.
I always feel as well that it's really, for me, tech especially, sorry, Kaz, that like it in theory could be the most flexible industry when it comes to that kind of thing, with working at home and collaboration and dual screening, and like there's so many other things that require more face-to-face time than tech, that I would have thought that would have been like a leader in the industry, not someone that's falling behind.
Yeah, I think so many companies kind of do and it's a difficult one, the blanket one fits all.
Yeah.
So if they have a policy in place for whatever, that's across all teams. But I agree, working in tech is very different to working in sales, for example, where there might be the need to go out more or whatever. But yeah, unfortunately, I think we need to look at adapting these policies so that we keep our women in tech in their tech industries.
Yeah. You mentioned, obviously, you work with a lot of different companies. When you see a company doing diversity well, what does that look like? You know, what can companies do to make that, you know, women want to stay and work for them?
Yeah. I mean, I think touching upon what I said earlier, being transparent about their pay, the networks that they've got. There's some really good employee networks in companies as well. And I think that supportive element and role models are so important. I also think it starts from the jump of their recruitment. So where are they recruiting? How are they recruiting? What words are they using in their job adverts? Are they doing skills assessments rather than a tick list of things people 100% have to have? Are their interview panel inclusive? And another massive thing I think that companies need to do is they need to track their metrics in terms of their retention, their hiring numbers, and be transparent about them. Put out into the world the pathways and promotion opportunities. And also another thing is about not just for gender, but have they got inclusive policies that accommodates people with disabilities or neurodiversities? And it's all these things. And there are companies out there that are doing it and doing it so well, but sometimes they just fail to show what they're doing. So it's about being very conscious about what you're putting out to the wider world, really.
Just to drill down on the you said making sure the interview is inclusive.
Yes.
What do you mean by that specifically? What would a company need to do?
So look who is on the panel. So is it, 3 senior leaders that are all men, for example? Because for me as a woman, that would put me off from the get-go. Is it someone that, ideally you want a hiring manager or your HR or your TAs, and then maybe someone from the tech team that is going to do a similar role or has been where you've been. So really be conscious of who is interviewing your candidates. And yeah, I think just think about things more than just doing what they've always done if they're struggling to recruit diversity in their tech teams.
I asked you that because I think there's a lot of companies, as you said, that are doing a lot well, but kind of also they don't put enough emphasis on that first interaction with the company. And the amount of times that they shout about diversity, but the first interview is with 2 senior male techies with a female technologist, which I've always said, you need to get someone else in that first interview to display that what you're talking about actually is what you practice in the business. And I don't think they think about that a huge amount.
No, I don't. And it's little things that make such a difference. So a company that we worked with once they hire someone, and because some people now are on a 3-month notice period, aren't they? So it does take them a little bit longer to get through the door. They had they put a buddy system in place for the new hire so that they could touch in every 2 weeks or meet them for a coffee. And they said they had so much positive response and longer retention. We've just put in a buddy system in place, and it's things like that. So people feel welcome and they already feel like they're part of the company before they've even started work there. And that's something that's free. It doesn't cost companies any money, but I think knowing that they had such positive results, that's something anyone can do.
Yeah. If we were going to flip that, and talk about candidates, what do you think candidates should be doing to stand out in this market?
Good question, because it's a very competitive market. As much as employers need to sell themselves to candidates, it's also the other way around, isn't it? It's a job interview. I think there's a couple of things. I would say before you even start, obviously, for your interview process, have a real good look at your CV. Is it just a list of tasks that you've been doing, or is it actually examples? So we always say to use this thing called CAR, which is challenge, action, result. I think it's probably called different things in different companies, but actually showcasing and then going on to that to show how this affected the business. And was it that, transactions went up by X% or this increased by this percent? So actual relatable situations rather than a list of tasks. And then when it comes on to the interview process, sometimes I think candidates forget that the hiring managers may not be the most tech savvy because they're doing recruitment across the whole of the business. So if that means that things need to be done in a clearer version, then just be aware of that. And I think, just really highlight on the amazing things that you've done rather than just list out. And another thing that we would say, and especially to women, it's the wording that you're using in your interviews or in your CV. So rather than using I helped or I handled, use things like I developed, I designed, take ownership of that amazing work that you're doing, because that can be the difference, And another good tip, and I do this for myself, so I'd recommend this to anyone, is keep a careers wins document. So when you've done something really good and you always forget it, but if you have an ongoing document, and then when it comes to applying for jobs or updating your CV, you've got this document which is going to boost your confidence and you can relate back to it at any point.
That's a great shout.
Everyone's going to go and do a wins document now.
Mine would be extremely short, but it's fine. The other bit on that, when you say, because I actually agree, and I think female technologists don't do as much as male, but when they find a job, if it's not it doesn't perfectly match their CV, they don't apply. We know that. But the other bit is, for me, is I sometimes don't think they tailor their CV to the job as well. Rather than, as you said, a little change of wording or how you delivered it, or some of the stuff that maybe looking at what matches that job description. I think taking the time and really emphasizing the bits that actually suit that job description, I think that can go a long way as well.
Definitely. And let's be honest, looking for a new job and applying, it's a hard process and it's a long process. But if you put the effort in, the results will come. So if it does take extra time to adapt your CV to what you're applying. And I think also, just going back to AI, but on the other side of it now, the amount of employers that have said that they get inundated with just CVs that they know or cover letters that have been run through AI. If you want to make yourself stand out, write it yourself. Of course, people are going to use AI to help and maybe adjust, but people know now, so you're going to have to spend the time to do it.
I think that's important from the two sides as well. As I think, as you said, people know. I think a lot of people are using AI because obviously it'll make it potentially match better, sound better. And because they know that I've seen many clients, they drift away from those CVs, even if they're a really good person that's happened to drop it into an AI engine to help with, it's a detriment. It's not a positive that at all. And also we're all getting trained, so you can definitely tell a tone of a CV or a covering letter that's been written by AI versus someone personal.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys have had a lot of clients that probably said we've been them out, but yeah, it works both ways, I think.
Actually, I mean, it's for another talkie tip, but I mean, the amount of candidates are like getting through first stage interviews that are actually AI bots. I mean, it's extraordinary. God. Yeah, it's getting. So I think, if anything, I think the more you personalize your own CV, the higher the chance and the probability you do of actually engaging with a client that is trying to genuinely be inclusive or trying to find that hire.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think just asking the right questions at those interviews as well, and bringing some of the power back to you, and you're interviewing that company for your skills just as much as they're interviewing you as well. It's about having a bit of assertiveness and saying, no, I only want to work in the right kind of environments and cultures, and really assessing that as part of your interview process too.
Definitely. Like, I would encourage people to in the interviews, ask questions around like what support there is for their diversity, like what's their retention like if you're going to go through the process of spending time with these people and hopefully working there, then challenge it, because then if it's going to be a right fit for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was actually going to ask that on a lot. You touched on something. If a candidate's trying to identify a like truly inclusive environment, you mentioned a couple of questions they should ask there. Is what should they be looking out for that?
A couple of things. I would say look at the leadership, because if a company truly cares about their diversity, then this will be transparent and you'll be able to find it. And off the back of any reports, like public reports, like spend time reading them. Ask about promotional pathways if that's really important to you, or ask about their policies and benefits. If the certain benefits and policies and promotions are a passion of yours or have to be for yours, then don't feel afraid to ask them, because they're going to matter to you. Do your research as well on the companies. Look at the interview panel. Is it diverse? Do you feel like you could fit in there? The other thing I would say is trust your gut.
Yeah.
Never ignore that noise, because I think we've all been there probably, where we've worked at companies and after a couple of weeks you think, oh no, this isn't for me. So yeah, just trust your gut with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you can always use a recruiter and a partner like us to find
that's true
opportunity and the right culture. So
exactly. And then if you go for a partner like yours who knows how important diversity is, they've already ticked a lot of the boxes for you.
Exactly. I think also that I've always advised, I think they miss out on a small opportunity around, if as it is a two-way street, an interview. I do sometimes feel that they could push back more around, could I please speak to someone in a position of mine that's doing the same job to get an experience. Like for me, I think that's a great, shows eagerness, shows like they want to join, shows interest. And I don't think they do enough. Like they genuinely should be reaching out to can we have a further conversation around how this, how my career could progress or grow there.
Yeah, I think so. And you're right, it shows initiative.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes as well, there used to be, I don't know if this is still the case, so you guys probably advise on this, but we were always told kind of to make sure you've got questions to ask in an interview process. But surprisingly, when, I've been in different interviews, people don't have questions as much now. Not sure if that's because I'm just an amazing person, so they've answered all their questions.
You answer everything already.
No, I'm only joking. But yeah, that's the thing as well. Like, have your questions prepped and ask them. Like, have the confidence to ask them.
It's one of the big, when we interview for us, it's for client survey, it's the same. Is I'm always, doesn't matter how someone is in the interview, if at the end of them, if I'm like, have you got any questions, and they don't ask a single one, I'm always like, okay, they're not really that interested. Or they're just here for the, they want to get a bit more information, but not bothered about it.
And it's a great opportunity to show that you've researched, prepped for your interview, and that you care. So use it. Yeah,
I completely agree. Kaz, I don't know if you've got anything else. I'm conscious we've had Callie for a little while.
Out of time, yes.
Yeah. Callie, thank you very much for joining us. And maybe we'd love to hear about how the chat with the Labour government goes
Of course. Yeah, we will. I will let you guys know, keep you updated, and obviously we'll put it on our socials as well. So anyone can pick it up. But yeah, hopefully we get a chance tonight to give some representation and put our points across that our community have come with us too. So yes.
Hopefully you'll be putting them under a bit of pressure as well.
Yeah, I'm going to stand at the front.
Excellent. Callie, look, really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us on Talking Tech, and hopefully we'll have you again soon at some point.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on. It's always a pleasure speaking with you both.